I'm going to be talking about zinc deficiency in bucks. The blog post that went up yesterday is about zinc deficiency in goats in general, but really you mostly see it in bucks. And the reason is because it doesn't happen due to a lack of zinc in the diet, it happens because of too much calcium in the diet. And that's really easy to make that happen with bucks, because if you're feeding them alfalfa through the winter, bucks don't need that much calcium. So the excess calcium binds with the zinc and makes it unavailable to them. And we learned this because we had zinc deficiency in our bucks several years ago. I tell you the whole story in the blog at thriftyhomesteader.com. It's getting hard to talk because it's cold out here. And so what do we do to avoid that? Because we cannot always get good grass hay. Most of the farmers around here grow alfalfa, and it's very hard to find good grass hay that's nice and green and healthy. And you want it to be green, because if it's not green, then it's lacking in vitamin A. And so what we do is that we buy grass hay pellets. And Stanley is available at our local Tractor Supply store, and so that's where we get it. And basically I give it to the boys just in a feed pan like you would if you were feeding grain or something. So I'm going to give them a few scoops of this.
Someone asked a question, how do you know if the grass hay is good quality hay?
Well, definitely you don't want it to be moldy or anything like that. You don't want it to be too dusty, but the big thing is that it needs to be green. It shouldn't look like straw. And sometimes the outside of the bale can look kind of brown, and that's just because the outside of it is sun bleached. But when you cut open the bale and the flakes fall open, then what you see in there should be green. So, and this is a good color here. See these pellets, how they're green? So you want to have nice green hay. So I'm going to go and give this to the boys now. Lucky for me, I've got this little thing out here where I can set it down. And then, hey guys, come here. Hey sneaky boys. Okay, here we go. And you can see they gobble it up. So we also have some hay for them. And see, the quality of the hay that we have is not that great. It's really not very green. They need some of this, so we do give it to them because they need that long stem. The purpose of that is because they need to chew. So when they chew, they produce bicarbonate, and they need that for proper digestion. So it's all part of the rumination process. So this really is just to get the fiber in their diet and keep them chewing, because they've got a rumen that they need to keep busy. And the pellets are awesome nutritionally, but they can't be the only thing you feed them, because it doesn't really require that much chewing and rumination. And so it doesn't keep the rumen working like hay does. Any other questions?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. So, like I said, check out thriftyhomesteader.com for the post. If you're watching this right away, or in the next couple days, it's going to be the first post you see at thriftyhomesteader.com. If you come to it later, there's a search bar on the right-hand side, so just type in zinc deficiency, and that should take you right to that post. If you've got any questions in the meantime, be sure to post in the comment section below, and I'll reply as soon as possible. Thanks. Have a great day.
Hope someone asks, what else do you feed? What if you have hard water?
Oh, the hard water, that's, well, if you've got calcium. Calcium is the only thing that's going to interfere with the zinc. So in this case, like with copper, I know you're worried about sulfur and iron and things like that. That is not going to affect them with the zinc. It's just the calcium. And I don't think I've heard of anybody having calcium deficient. I mean, I don't think I've heard of anybody having zinc deficient bucks just from hard water, but it is something to keep in mind. You know, watch your goats. And the symptoms of zinc deficiency are hair loss and foaming at the mouth, which the textbooks say excessive salivation, but I can tell you they're foaming at the mouth. That's what excessive salivation looks like, but it's not at all technical sounding. Any other questions? Post.
Can you feed in conjunction with hay without any side effects?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You need to feed hay. Like as explaining earlier, it sounds maybe you came in late. I was explaining earlier in the video about the importance of feeding hay. So this is just a supplement to make sure they're getting enough vitamin A and other nutrients that are lacking in my really crappy hay, which is brown rather than green. Because if your hay is not green, then it's going to be lacking in vitamin A. But they need the hay for the fiber and to chew and create bicarbonate and for that whole rumination process.
And just pellets and hay, and what else do you feed?
That's it for the boys. So the bucks just get hay and then the Timothy grass pellets. That's it. You really should not feed bucks grain in most situations because it can cause urinary calculi, which is basically stones, and so that means they can't pee. Which can kill them fairly quickly because their urethra is so tiny that a stone the size of a grain of sand can stop it up, and that can kill them pretty quickly if they can't pee. So we don't feed them grain.
Can I use medicated goat feed for bucks with ammonium chloride?
Yes, you can feed ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride is there to acidify the urine to make urinary calculi less likely. As far as feeding medicated feed, you really should not be feeding medicated feed regularly. It's not good for the goats. It's actually extended feeding of medicated feed has been linked to vitamin E deficiency. It's meant to be a short-term solution. So the only time you should need to feed medicated feed is with kids who are having problems, because that's just for coccidia. Coccidiosis is not a problem in adult goats unless they are stressed and have some other kind of medical problems already. Having a little coccidia in the gut of an adult goat is considered totally normal, and a healthy goat is fine with that. It does not bother them at all. So, hey, Stinky. So you don't usually notice. You finished your pellets, huh? So you don't usually notice, what was I talking about?
I remember now.
All right.
I was reading the other questions.
Okay, what's the next question?
What kind of loose minerals do you use for your bucks?
So we use Meat Maker by Sweet Licks for all of our goats. However, if I had a lot of problems with zinc deficiency that lasted for more than a couple of months.
You want to come out? Why don't you grab the pen and come out?
Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay. All right. Yeah, because he's trying to unzip my coat.
Yeah. And then someone else said, what about female goats? And then we have another question. What about grain, hay, oat, wheat, and barley for bucks? Would you avoid it, or is that okay?
No, no grain for bucks. I have a whole post on...
I said grain hay.
What?
Grain hay.
Grain hay. There's no such thing as grain hay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's supposed to be a
wheat
column.
is straw, barley is straw, and oat is straw. That's all straw.
But they're grains.
Yeah.
So those grains you shouldn't feed grains to bucks. Yeah. If you have to feed it to them to keep condition on them, then you need to feed them ammonium chloride to avoid the risk of urinary calculi. But bucks, if they've got a good hay, they shouldn't need to have grain to keep them in condition. Some people, depending on the quality of the hay you've got, might need to give them a little bit of grain during breeding season to keep them from getting underweight.
And how much of the Timothy goat pellets are you actually feeding per goat?
It's about 2 cups per buck twice a day. Does that sound about right to you?
For full size. For
a
full
full-grown
size. We have some
buck.
young ones in there, so yeah.
Yeah, so for a full-grown buck. In addition to my bad hay, which they can chew on to keep their rumen full and happy during the rest of the day. So this is basically like a feed supplement for them. What's the next question?
Well, there was a question about the female goats, the does. What they get.
So the female does get the alfalfa pellets.
Show that.
So because, and we do the same thing with them because I did a Facebook Live on this about the alfalfa pellets a few months ago because we feed the alfalfa pellets to the does because they need the calcium. And unfortunately, this year, the quality of the alfalfa we got is really sad. So there's got a lot of brown in it also. So it's just basically my health insurance for for the goats to be able to make sure they're getting all their vitamin A.
That's it.
I think you spit out 3 questions at once. Can you scroll on there to see? Did I answer them all?
All right, we got Timmy the grass purds goat. What about grain hay? We talked about that. And then what about female goats?
Okay.
Yeah. Loose minerals we talked about. So
so for the loose minerals, I was in the middle of answering that.
That's
so the
what it
loose
was.
minerals, so all of my goats get meat maker. Meat maker has got a 2-to-1 calcium to phosphorus.
It's right in there.
Oh, yeah, Sweet Licks Meat Maker. So, see, this is great. I can just rip this tag off. So, you see those numbers, that 16-8? That means 16% calcium and 8% phosphorus. And so that's what I feed to my does. And actually the bucks get it too. Now, if I continue to have problems with zinc deficiency with them, then I might switch to the Magnum milk, which sounds crazy because that sounds like that's for milk goats, right? But it has equal amounts of calcium and phosphorus. And basically it has half as much calcium as this does. So I know it sounds weirdly counterintuitive, but Magnum milk is made for milk goats that are getting an alfalfa diet. So they are giving them the Magnum milk to avoid having them consume too much calcium because they're getting 100% alfalfa diet. So it's really for, dry latted goats that are just getting all alfalfa. It's not for your average pastured goats. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay. All right, great. So if you guys have any other questions after you watch this, feel free to post in the comment section below and I will get back to you. Thanks. Bye.